You've been
it's like
on both sides.
that.
You've been
Yeah,
on side of privilege, and then you've been on the side of disenfranchisement with
yeah,
HIV.
yeah. South Africa, it's like 1 in 4 people have it. You think it'd be more less stigma there, but no, the stigma in South Africa is worse than here. It's a different kind of stigma. There, it's more direct. Like my friend there, she hasn't told any of her family, not hasn't told her mom that she has HIV positive. She feels that if anybody found out that she had HIV, she would lose work. She wouldn't get a job. Many people with HIV in South Africa and other African countries, they don't tell anybody they have HIV. That's what I'm doing here, the privilege I have to tell everybody I have HIV. There's a lot of people in the
Yeah.
first world who still won't disclose because they're afraid what people will think. They'll treat them differently. In first developed nations, the percentage of HIV is much less. It's a different kind of stigma. You feel like you're in an open air prison. You don't really have the rights of everyone else, but no one really notices. You tell people you have HIV, oh really? They feel sorry for you. You get a pat on the back, and like I was not living with mainstream society, with the noosphere, what goes on in people's minds, people's social acceptable beliefs and stuff. If
Yeah.
it's against a socially accepted belief,
Yeah.
then you're getting this negative energy, this negative karma against you. That's why, as a white person, I started to identify, like I could understand why people of color feel like they have no privilege compared to a white person, right? And I experienced that myself when I lived in LA for 8 months. When I was married to my first wife, even though I had a fake degree in computer science, I got calls for interviews, and she said, "Oh, they'll call you. You'll get a job because you're white."
I know you were off your medication for like 10 years
Yeah,
before.
I took them for the first 2 years, and I had horrible side effects, and so I said no. I read Dr. Peter Duesberg's book with antiretroviruses possibly causing cancer in the 1970s, and he was a lauded doctor. But when HIV/AIDS came, the hypothesis that HIV caused AIDS, he looked at it and he said this is bogus, right? And that was his opinion, and then he was ostracized from the medical establishment.
You became HIV dissident. When did you start realizing you were getting really sick?
Not until 2007. We arrived in Toronto. Must have been the end of October 2007 from Vancouver. We went across Canada. Shanti and I performed a 2-person version of my rock opera and her musical. And we stopped in Toronto. We put on a big show end of November 2007 at U of T. Right after that second show, I got sick. I got PCP pneumonia, which is the pneumonia associated with HIV, with AIDS, I mean. And I spent 6 days in the hospital, and I nearly died. If they didn't give me the antibiotics, I would have died. And then I got out of the hospital. I didn't even finish the course of antibiotics. I threw them in because it's such a distance. I thought it was this big conspiracy. I never recovered really from that first bout. I had AIDS. My B cells were below 200.
What did you think when they told you had AIDS?
I didn't believe it. By the end of 2008, I couldn't walk properly without assistance anymore. And so I
What
couldn't work.
happened, Tim? What happened to your mobility? It just
Well, it was another opportunistic infection. PCP pneumonia was my first opportunistic infection. And then in 2008, I started developing cytomegalovirus, which is a virus that's in 1 of 2 people. You get it from your mother to the baby. It exists in our body our entire lives, and it doesn't harm you unless your immune system is non-existent. Cytomegalovirus, eats the myelin sheath on nerve cells. It attacked my central nervous system, right in the center of my brain. In 2008, I kept blowing my nose to pop my ears like every 30 seconds. And I just had this intuition. So we went to a doctor.
Yeah.
To get a requisition for CT scan, and the specialist said, "Oh my God, you have a hole in the center of your brain."
You're getting other side effects?
Well, that's with the walking out, and I was starting to get incontinent. I couldn't hold my pee.
And then when you went to the doctor, what did they do next?
So I didn't see a doctor again until I had to. My Shanti brought me to the hospital, St. Michael's Hospital, and I just remember opening the door. It was dead of winter. It's really snowy, cold. And I opened the door, and then I passed out. I was
Yeah.
doing. I was in there for 7 days. Then I got out, and my mom flew from Vancouver, spent the next 7 days with Shanti and I to see how I was, and then go back with her to Vancouver. I barely got on the plane. They really hesitant to let me on the plane because I was so ill. I went on a wheelchair, and then a week after I was in Vancouver, and I was using a walker and working with a chiropractor, and it's the damage is there in the central nervous system. So unless stem cell therapy comes along, or I see a Tibetan monk or something, they teach me to heal my body.
You have a really cool regimen that you do. I know that you make your own vitamin C too.
Yeah. And I take vitamin D. I take 2,000 international units a day. It's vital for the immune system.
And so how do you make your vitamin C?
Well, you have to buy a ultrasonic cleaner, where if you want to clean like silver spoons or whatever, you put in this ultrasonic cleaner, and it uses sound waves to get all the dirt off. So, anyways, that ultrasonic cleaner, it works by getting the ascorbic acid into lecithin, so your body can absorb the vitamin C if it's wrapped in the fat molecule.
Oh, I see.
There's just a couple swigs every morning, and you feel this immediate buzz.
Oh, really? Were you depressed at all? Take us through your psychology.
After I found I was HIV positive, I was depressed, and it was like a bomb hit me end of 1996, and then for the next 4 years until 2000. I was depressed, so depressed. And then in 2000, that's when my first wife, 8 months with her, was hell.
Who was your wife at this time?
Oh, I forgot her name at the moment.
That's a testament that Ruby is the woman for you.
Yeah. After that, I came back, and then I came to Vancouver, and then I said, I'm going to pursue my dreams, and that's when I started to flourish. And that broke my depression.
Really? So what happened? Why did you decide that?
Well, because she didn't allow me to take down my cello to LA, and I wanted to move down to LA, other than just so that we could get married, so we could be in the same city, because she didn't like Vancouver. I thought LA, that's a place I could pursue my dream. I didn't get to do any of that while I was there. I was a security guard, what I was doing in Vancouver. So I said, to hell with this. I'm going to do it in Vancouver. I got to join bands. Like, if I want to be a celebrity musician to change the world, I better start playing in rock bands. I've only been doing classical my entire life. And so I moved downtown Vancouver, went on disability, and delivered groceries for a side income, and then joined bands.
Do you remember what the people around you thought when you told them you had AIDS?
Yeah, I was always forthright about telling people about my status, because before that, I had such a promising music career. That's I attribute to the 6 month stay in the hospital in 2009.
Do you recall those memories? Like your mom was by your side?
The first 6 weeks were a hallucination.
I can only imagine. And your mom was by your side?
Yeah. And like, I've heard from other people, a similar experience when they're on their possible deathbed. When they have visitors, you don't treat the visitors very well. You're so sensitive when you're near death.
Yeah.
Like, every stimulation, you pick up on people's vibes. Too much light, it freaks you out. Too much sound, it freaks you out. People from my past heard that I was dying from AIDS that came to visit me, and I just reamed them out. Some people to this day won't tell me what I said to them, because it's like,
it must have been hard on your mom too, because I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
But only a mom will forgive.
Exactly.
That is 100% truth. Only a mother will forgive. Wow. So 9 months in the hospital, and then you come out, you're alive. It's a miracle. Right?
Yeah. And that really changed my perspective, because the 2 months I was in the hospital, 5 to 7 people died, right? They either died beside me, or they went home to die, or they went to hospice to die.
It gave you a perspective, seeing death around you.
Yeah, just the humanity, and it just makes me, I realized when I was in the hospital in acute care, maybe about the 4th or 5th month, I in the hospital, I realized that, you know, this is a blessing that you face death. Now you can not take any moment for granted, right? Life is a precious miracle. You don't wallow in your sorrow like I used to. I used to feel sorry for myself. I used to get depressed.
Do you remember when that shift happened in your perspective? Was it a particular moment?
Roger, that was his name.
See, the fact that you still remember his name,
Yeah.
it did have an impact on you.
And his wife's name was Beth.
And Beth was his, oh, wow. Do you ever regret him going off the medication? No?
Not in hindsight. No. It's, you know, I wouldn't be here where I am. I have much more powerful impact on the world as a disabled man than somebody who's got his ability.